Welcome to Lotus Yoga Online. I'm Neil Craver. Today on our mat, we're going to work on opening the heart, opening the front body, a little bit of lengthening, and then a little bit of strengthening of the back side of the body. So we're going to kind of flow in and out of a lot of back bends. I'm feeling back bends today. So this is a back bend centric kind of day. 30 minutes express flow. Let's begin in child's pose. So our knees are apart, our big toes are touching. And we're going to crawl our hands out as far as we can, very active with the hands for this child's pose. We're not going to stay in any posture very long. Try to put the forehead on the ground. And then begin to push into the palms of the hands. You could even lift the fingers off the ground and just get a lot of traction in the palms. And maybe fire out through the fingers, wiggle the fingers. Try to actively engage the hamstrings so we're squeezing the legs together, squeezing ultimately the glutes to the heel. Begin to bring in this deep Ujjayi pranayama. This deep oceanic breath. So filling the body up all the way to the bottom of the stomach, and then make sure you get a complete empty on that exhale. So exhale every little bit out. Push into the heels of the hands hard. Stretch up through the shoulders. Now begin to walk the hands just a little bit forward. So the hips are going to come up off the heels, and we're going to go into like a modified puppy pose here. So the legs are still in our child's pose, but see if we can look forward a little bit and have the chin up. Maybe the chin will rest on the ground. Still very active with the hands. Deepen in the breath. Begin to goalpost the arms. So the chin can come off the ground just a little bit. Put the arms, maybe not a full goalpost, but a very close to goalpost arms, and then try to rest the chin back on the earth. And if you can pull down and get the heart to touch, that's what we want. So keep arching through the neck. See if we can get the chest to rest on the ground, the heart center. All right, release. Pull the knees together for rabbit pose. Grab a hold of the heels, and we're going to see if we can drop the very top of the head to the earth so the nose is almost touching the knees. So let's drop down on an exhale. So one big inhale, and then hollow the stomach, exhale forward, top of the head on the ground. In this position, try to raise the hips up. Grab a hold of the heels and pull. You should feel a lot of length in the back of the neck. All right, release. Push up slowly. That can get you a little bit disoriented if that's the first thing that you do in the day. All right, puppy pose, the more traditional posture. The hips are right underneath. The knees are right underneath the hips. Begin to crawl the hands out as far as you need to bring the chin and chest to the earth. I like to tuck the toes under, but you don't have to. I also like to get a little bit of grip on the mat so I don't slide too far forward and go into this too quickly, because it's a very compromising position where you almost have to loosen so much that you kind of check out for a second. So if you want to, get a hold of the front of the mat and start walking your knees back. And keep walking the knees back until the chest and the chin rest on the earth. Keep the eyes open, looking straight forward. Two more breaths. Now release. Start walking the knees forward. Come up onto the elbows. Slowly, slowly come out of this. Be really intense for the shoulders. For rock pose. So we're still sitting on the knees, and if you can, sit on the heels so the feet aren't splaying open. They're kind of squeezing together. So everything's kind of squeezed in tight. We're going to do a couple spinal undulations. So the hands can be on the knees, or they'll be on the ground, or counterbalanced, wherever you want to have the hands. But we're going to inhale the heart forward. So you're going to put a little bit of back bend into it, and we're going to look up. This is the inhale. You could go into a back bend if you want, and then start curling from the chin on the exhale. Drop the chin down. Start dropping the nose down. See if you can dive forward with the nose. And then the nose scrapes the ground, and then from this portion we start inhaling again. So try to work the movement into the lower back, upper back, and the neck. Make sure you coordinate the breath so when we're inhaling all the way up, and the breath is kind of carrying us upwards. And then on the exhale, we're kind of dissolving down, loosening, diving forward. All right, release. We're staying in rock pose, but now we're going to do the same spinal undulation, but it's going to be a side-to-side movement. So the hands are going to be kind of teeter-totting on the left and right side of you. So we're going to inhale, and then we're going to exhale. And it's almost like a slithering kind of serpent movement. So as we lean over to the left, the hips and the side starts opening. And then we're going to lead with the head. And then when the head goes to the right, the hips go to the left. And there's a big side body opening in the left. So try to lead with the head. And not so much forward and back movement, but it's just side to side. And it's going to be a little bit stickier than the front to back. We don't have nearly as much side to side movement, but you should feel a big expansion on the obliques. I can tell right now that I have a lot tighter side. It's a lot more effort to lean a little bit more to the right than it is the left. This is going to help any kind of spinal imbalances. Good maybe if you have scoliosis. Going to work that movement into the spine. We want to be able to move each column independently so the spine is very, very fluid. We don't want a spine that just kind of moves in kind of big blocks. Each column should be moved independently, and once we get that spinal undulation down, it feels really good. It's going to make our movement look very fluid. So even work the shoulders into it. Watch my shoulders drop as I go to the left. So the left arm kind of bends so I can get the contraction of the oblique, and then it opens. Other side, shoulder pulls down. Left shoulder right hikes up a little bit, raises up. I really like this movement. It feels good. So be happy with the movement that you have right now, because it's always going to get better. All right, release. Give the shoulders a shake, arms a shake. Come back to the center of the mat and lay completely on the ground. We're going to rest the forehead on the ground for these 3 exercises, the I's, Y's, and T's. So we're going to go this position, and this position. We're going to have the hands extending like we're almost going into a handstand, so the fingers should be trying to reach the forearm. So actively pulling up. And it's also going to be the same shape that we got to get to do a back bend. The hand has to start pulling towards the wrist. So this angle right here needs to be closing down. All right, forehead on the ground. Hands like you're in a handstand. And then raise the arms as much as you can so you're feeling the shoulder blades squeeze together. And once you've reached that maximum point, hold. You can push down on the forehead just a little bit if you like, but make all the work start happening in the arms and in the shoulder blades. Keep holding. Don't forget about the hands, the wrists, the fingers. Very active. Release. Release the hands on the ground. Go up to that Y-shaped position. Arms up overhead, extending out the corners of the mat. So same thing, lift the wrist, almost like we're in a handstand position. It's something we really need to be working on, that active range to pull that wrist up towards, to extend the wrist and hand up towards the face. All right, I-shaped position, lift the arms as high as possible, drawing the shoulder blades down the back. Lift. Make sure you're pointing the toes and zipping the legs together. The glutes should turn on just a little bit. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. release. Shake the legs if you want, scissor them. Okay. Eye shape position. It's almost like we're in a handstand or going back into a wheel. All right, forehead on the ground, lift the arms as high as possible. Go. Active with the hands. Zip the legs together. Focus third eye. Press out through the hands, through the shoulders. For 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release. All right. Last one. We're going to make a TP with the arms. Put the forehead on the ground, and then we're going to lift the elbows as high as we can. Lift our TP up over our head as high as we can. Try not to flare out the arms. Just whatever position you have the elbows on the ground, naturally lift straight up from that position. Lift. Press the palms together. Hold. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release. All right. Come on to the tops of the feet, upward facing dog. Make sure we have a good, wide handprint on the ground. So make sure that the hands are completely stuck to the ground. So we don't want to have the pointer finger especially coming up off the ground. Push the whole ground away with every finger. And lead with the head, small spiral undulation side to side. And the shoulders are going to move a little bit, and the legs and hips might move just a little bit. Just lead with the head. It's a small movement here, like a snake going through the water. All right. Roll over the toes, downward facing dog. Lift the hips, float the hips up. Immediately come to stillness. If your heels are on the ground, try to lift the toes up off the ground. And if your heels are really far off the ground, bend the knees a little bit. Wherever you're at, pull the navel in and see if you can look at the navel with the gaze. Right leg 3 points. Pushing the heels of hands. Push the left heel down and lift that right leg just a tiny bit more. Open up the glute. So bring the heel to the glute. And keep the knee kind of floating upwards, almost like you're going to touch the ceiling with the knee. Doesn't matter if your right shoulder starts opening, just worry about that knee. Maybe look underneath the arm, see if you can see your knee. And hold. Make sure the arms aren't weeping down, but Start extending with more pressure into the arms to lift the knee just a tiny bit higher. All right, release. Four-legged dog. Left foot, 3 points. Pull the navel in, press the arms away. Look at the back foot. Deepen the breath. Open up the hip. Bring the heel down to the glute. Reach up with that knee. Look back at the knee. And hold, just breathe. Release. Drop the knees, puppy pose. Try not to move the hands so much on the mat, but just drop down to the knees. See if you can drop the chest or the chin on the ground. If it doesn't reach, that's fine. Just in that direction. All right. Re-extend. Downward facing dog. Right leg, 3 points. Open up the glute. Now look underneath your left shoulder. See if you can see your foot. Your right foot underneath your left shoulder. Put a small bend in that left leg and flip your dog. Watch your right foot slowly, slowly reach the ground. Your right hand is going to become very light. Slower. Press down with that right foot. Now bring that left foot right in line with that right foot. Now here we have a little back bend action, flip dog. We want to have a little softness to the left elbow and extend the right arm forward. Keep a gaze going past the thumb, past that right hand. Press up with the hips, down with the heels. For 3, 2, 1. Softness to the knees, softness to the left elbow, flip back. 3 points. Four-legged dog. Lift your left leg, 3 points. Heel to glute. Lift. Now look underneath that right shoulder. Identify that is your left foot. Get a good focus on it. Become very, very light in that left hand, almost like the fingertips are just floating. Start turning with that right foot. Place that left foot slowly, slowly on the ground. Perfect. Go slow. Make sure the feet are in line. You have a balance on the 4 corners so the toes can lift up if you want. Look up over your head, past your left fingers. Keep the hips up as high as possible. For 3, 2, 1. Release. Flip back. 3 points. Four-legged dog. Puppy pose. Drop the knees, drop the chest. Three breaths cycles. Slow inhalation, slow exhalation. It's back in the hands, downward facing. Right leg 3 points. Heel to glute, open up. Lift that right knee as high as possible. Look under that left shoulder. Flip your dog. Just for one breath this time. Inhale forward. Stay. Exhale. Inhale, flip your dog back. 3 points. Exhale, kick that right leg to the left and through for fallen triangle. Place the foot on the ground and that left arm will lift, reaching as far left as you can over your head. Stay active with the feet, active with the hands. Reach, one breath. Float it back through. 3 points. Three-legged dog. Left foot. Heel to glute, open up. Keep the breath going very smoothly here. Flip your dog, one breath. Give softness to that right elbow. Inhale, arm forward, gaze forward, hips up. Inhale, 3 points. Kick the foot through over to the right side, towards the top of the mat if you can. Fallen triangle. Lift that right arm straight up or maybe forward. There's an infinite amount of possibilities, whichever one suits you today. Let the gaze follow that right hand for one breath. 3 points. Four-legged dog. Puppy pose. Drop down. Come up, hands and knees, walk the feet through. Come all the way down to the back. Have the feet right underneath the knees. We're going to go into one bridge, and then we're going to go into wheel pose. So place the hands on the ground and lift the hips. Press down actively with the hands and the shoulders. One more breath. Keep the head neutral but engaged. Place the hands near the ears with the thumbs facing towards the ears. So keep reaching. My hand gets flat on the ground, and then I lift into my hips. Head lifts off the ground. Doesn't have to lift very far. It could just be hovering on my head if I want to. Maybe just a few pulses here. Rest on the head just a second, and then pulse up. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now tuck the chin to the chest. Lower the head and shoulders first, and lower the hips. Windshield wiper the legs left and right. If that felt good, we're going to leave out the pulses, and we're going to go straight into our full wheel. Whatever that looks like today. There's always room for improvement, always room for growth. I like those pulses, though, because it gets you acclimated to your head being in that position. You might get this head rush that you haven't got before. It's a good feeling, but it can be disoriented. So come out if you feel like you've been up there too far, too long. All right. Lift the hips. Place the hands behind the head, near the ears. Your hands aren't off the mat. They're almost like shoulder width. Lift up. Press as high as you want to today. You can walk the feet in if you need a little bit more space. But be all right with moving the feet if you need to. So don't get locked in this position. You can move the hands a little bit. Just make sure the breath is nice and smooth. Don't go to some place where you can't breathe. So don't go to your max, 70%, where you can breathe and talk. 3 more breaths. All right, tuck the chin to the chest, slowly start lowering down. Windshield wiper the legs, left and right. Walk the feet to the edges of the mat. Now drape the knees inwards to release any kind of psoas or lower back tension here. I might, if you have time, just to hang out here a few minutes after class in a couple of these positions. Grab the knees, roll up to an easy seat. Thank you so much for exploring this very short but very powerful back bend education. We need to connect the muscles to the mind and vice versa. I hope this gave you a little bit of stability and a little bit of strength and maybe just a little bit of sweat. Until next time, namaste.